So, what joins the first letter of Peter to the passage from the Gospel of John we just heard there? Well, in that reading, we hear Jesus say, "I am the way." And this is very similar to the idea in Peter where Jesus is called the cornerstone. Because what is a cornerstone? As we saw in that picture earlier, a cornerstone is the foundation. It's the thing that everything else is built on. And if it's not there, everything else can collapse. So here's a question for us this morning. What is it we are building our lives on? Because I'm sure we're all building on something. What is it that's shaping our choices? What is it that's motivating us when we wake up each morning? And we're going to look at now some different examples of things we can prioritize and make cornerstones in our own lives. So here we've got 4 different kind of stones, and we're going to go through them each in turn and see if they could hold us together. And the first stone we have here is money. And I just want to clarify something before I start going into this. These 4 things we're looking at here, they're not necessarily bad things. But the problem is when we make them the foundation of our very lives, that's when the problems can start. I'm sure all of us here at some point have felt that if we only just had a little bit more money, everything would be so much easier, everything would be wonderful, everything would be great. It can feel like security, like control, and of course there is truth in that. But there's been a lot of research done into the effects of having money. And the research shows this, that if we have enough money to eat, to live, to care for our families, that does actually make a real difference to our well-being. But the same research also showed something surprising, because it asked people how much money they thought they needed to be happy. And we go into the income levels above that basic level. There was a kind of consistent answer from everyone. Everyone thought if my income or the amount of money I had was about 10% higher, then I would be really happy, life would be perfect. And this is really interesting because this shows something. What actually happens when we do get that pay rise, when we do get a little bit more money? We don't actually suddenly feel satisfied. We're always just thinking, well, maybe if I had 10% more, I could get this new thing or that new thing. Money is never quite filling the gap. So it's easy to start building our lives on money. But it can be quite dangerous too, because that pursuit of money, there's a different verse from the Bible too. So while I said to have money to live, to eat is wonderful and brilliant, it can, if we're making it the cornerstone, be the root of all kinds of evil. It says that too in the Bible. So what is the difference between Jesus, who should be the cornerstone, and money? Well, money doesn't last. It can't carry all of the weight of our lives and every single problem. It can't hold everything together. And Jesus here is completely different, because he doesn't say, you will be secure if you have more. He just says, come to me. And instead of having to keep chasing something, he can offer us that steadiness, something that's never going to run out, never going to shift, and a solid foundation to build on.
Our next stone that you can see is success. Another thing that people can try to build their lives on is their career, their status, their success in life. That sense of what I achieve, what people think of me, how successful I look. Who here has ever felt huge pressure to do well, to succeed, to be seen, to be perceived as doing well? And there is a good reason for that. Work matters. Using our gifts that we've been given matters. Wanting to do well and make a difference, that's a really good thing. But it can slowly build into something much more. We start to think, if I just get to that next step, that next grade, that next job, then I'll feel secure. But the problem is, those things don't stay still. Jobs change. expectations change. And people's opinions, they change all the time. So you can spend your whole life chasing something that never quite settles. So success can't promise that kind of security. It can't hold everything together forever. And that's where Jesus is different. Jesus doesn't say, prove yourself. He says, follow me. Because your worth isn't something you earn from what you achieve. It's something that you are given by God, something steady, something that doesn't depend on what others think of you.
And our third stone we can see here that we can try and build our lives on is comfort. And who doesn't like comfort? And we probably all get it in different ways. Maybe our favourite takeaway, our favourite film to watch, a day just without stress where nothing ever happens and there's no challenges at all. And listen, that can be a good thing at times. Rest is really important. Enjoying things is actually a blessing from God at times. And having space to relax is really important. But that can ever so slowly turn into something more. We can start to get that mentality, whereas if we just avoid anything difficult, we just stay in our comfort zone, then everything will be okay. But I'm sure we can all agree is that life just doesn't work like that. Things can go wrong. There's always going to be challenges. We're going to have those sad days, those days where we have more worries or anxiety than other days. And in those moments, the comfort that we've so often tried to seek can't actually carry us. It can't hold everything together. And Jesus, once again, is different because he doesn't tell us to stay comfortable. He says, come to me. And he tells us when difficult things happen, he says he will be there for us as a steady presence. And it's really important to remember too, the first disciples who, met Jesus, were changed by Jesus. They weren't blessed necessarily with a comfortable life after that. They were changed by meeting Jesus, but then they suffered and struggled a lot because they spoke the truth and people didn't like it, and that was really difficult for them in their society. So sometimes, as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, we have to speak the truth. And that means things might not go how we hope, that we could have days where we're worried, sad, or unsure of what to do. But these are the moments where our cornerstone, Jesus, comes close and he walks with us. He gives us strength and tells us we're not alone. He is, once again, and we say this a lot through this thing, he is something steady. He is holding that building. The God's house we saw earlier, he is the one holding everything together, even in the middle of the hardest moments.
And then we come to our last stone, which might surprise you a bit, religion. Now, we're not talking about faith here. We're talking about going through the motions, doing the right things, saying the right prayers, looking like everything is okay on the outside. Who here has ever wondered, am I doing it right? And there's a good reason for that. Practice matters. Prayer matters. Coming to church matters. These are the good things. But they can start to become something else. We can start to think, oh, I just do the right things, then I'll be okay. I'll be okay with God. But when those right things become performance, it can start to feel empty. Because deep down, we know it's not really holding us. And when life gets really difficult, just going through the motions, it just doesn't carry us through. Performance can't promise that kind of relationship. It can't hold everything together. And that's where Jesus is different. Jesus doesn't say, get everything right. He says, come to me. Because Christianity isn't about pretending, it's about a real relationship with our Creator. Something that holds, even when we don't have everything together. Because our relationship with God is not built on what we do, It's built on what Jesus has already done.
And we've thought about a few different things today that people can build their lives on. We've got money, success, comfort. And as I said at the beginning, all of them do actually have something good in them. They can have something good in them. But none of them alone are strong enough to carry the whole weight of our lives. And that is why in the first letter of Peter, he calls Jesus the cornerstone, the stone that everything else is built on.
Because a cornerstone isn't just one part of a building. It's the thing that holds every single thing together. And Jesus is different from everything else we've talked about. When life is going really, really well, he is there. But when life is really difficult, he is still there.
So the question for each of us as we go into this next week is a simple one. And it's, what are we building our lives on? Because the only foundation strong enough to hold everything is the foundation that is Jesus. We're all about to be part of a very special moment, which is the first time I've ever had to give the notices. So let's hope I know what's going on in church. So we're going to go through the week. So tomorrow we're going to talk about something that isn't happening. There is no Sparklers tomorrow because of the bank holiday. Sparklers will be back the Monday after. And also on the subject of Sparklers, it's been going really well recently, thanks to our great volunteers who come and make that possible, help by talking to parents, help in the kitchen as well. And we've really grown, and I think last Monday we had 29 little ones there in church, which was wonderful. But that does mean we would quite like some new volunteers to come through and help with that as well. We'd be really grateful. So if that's something you'd be interested in, just have a word with me and we'll see how you can help. I believe on Tuesday we have bell ringing, Tuesday evening. Wednesday morning, U3A meeting here. Then on Thursday morning, we have our said communion service with tea and coffee afterwards. And I also believe there's a time for prayer at 11:30 after that service in the Lady Chapel as well. So please do come to those if you can make it. There's a couple of other things I just want to give a notice about. I think next Sunday is it Christian Aid Sunday, and I think people are collecting or asking people to deliver envelopes, and they're all at the back. So if you want to deliver them to your street as part of the collection, I'm sure they'd be very grateful if you could do that. It's the Wendover Arts Festival that's happening here in St Mary's at the end of the month. I don't know if you came last year, but it was absolutely wonderful. So if you want to help and come make that possible, please do send an email, I think to David Blackmore, because we need lots of help with volunteers in different ways just to make that event as brilliant as it was last year. Yes? Okay, email Jackie or Jackie or Catherine first. And then also one other notice is we've started advertising and we've got our first sign-ups for our Shine Summer Holiday Activities Programme. That's going to be between Tuesday the 18th of August and Tuesday the 20th of August. And we have primary school age children come down here and we play sport with them, we do music with them, we do some crafts with them, we do some Bible stories with them. We did it for the first time last year and it really was a wonderful time. So if you're interested in coming down and helping, that's another thing you can let me know about and we'd be glad to have you join us. I just want to open the floor up. Does anyone else have any other notices that I've missed? Because I'm a little bit worried I've missed something. Anything else?
Yes.
Church walk next Sunday. Information about that is on the newsletter. Where's it starting from?
Outside Sweeney's.
Outside Sweeney's, 2:30? 2:30. So if you want to take part in that, I've been on it before. Always good fun. So yeah.
It does send the update that the walk back from Coombe Hill is 25 miles. It's 2.5 miles.
Okay.
If the 25 miles put you off, it's not.
Yes, just the 2.5 miles then, we can clarify.
What we build on, what we trust, shifts like sand and turns to dust. But in the storm and morning light, one foundation still stands right. Come to me, the Savior calls, steady love beneath us all. Stone of hope and floods and grace, hold hold our lives in your